Hi, I'm Dr. Joan Friedman. Welcome back to Twin Tuesday. I've been working for quite a while with a man in his, I'd say his 60s, a fraternal twin, and his twin died by suicide a long time ago. And this gentleman has had a lot of adverse things happen in his life, in addition to having lost his twins, a lot of issues with his family, his immediate family, and also his family of origin. And he's had a lot of obstacles to handle and to deal with, and it's not been easy at all. So realistically, we both know this, and we devote a lot of our time together so that he can vent and talk about how he feels about his life being full of injustices and things aren't fair, and he can't live a life like other people live. And all of that's true, given the challenges that he has to handle every day. So I'm very empathic with his feelings about this. At the end of our last session, he told me something that was actually positive or that gave him a sense of happiness or fulfillment, even if it was just for a few minutes. It was unusual. And I've tried to work with him through our work together to sort of see if he can focus or find something that he can be happy about or he's grateful about, even if it's only, going into his workshop and eating some M&Ms by himself. I know that gives me a lot of solace at times. So at the end of the session, he's telling me about this very positive interchange that he had with someone about something that he's interested in. And I said, "Oh my goodness, you spent the whole session in the usual way that we talk about all the things that are wrong and all the things that are unfair and all the things that are upsetting you and making you sad and angry. And you didn't mention this very positive interchange that you had. How come? How come you maybe wouldn't have led the session with that story, much less barely mentioning it at the end when we've run out of time?" And he said, "Well, those kind of those kind of happy stories are boring." And I said, "They're boring?" He goes, "Yeah." And then he said, "You know what?" Which was more the crux of the issue. "I'm too afraid to be hopeful." And that was a very understanding and self-reflective remark, that he's had a history where he's felt that he's had sometimes in his life when he has been happy, and then his subjective recollection is, and the next moment it's slammed. He described it like he has sort of has some sense of well-being, and then a big wave comes over and he's submerged and suffocated back into darkness and depression. And I said, "Well, maybe we can sort of think about ripples of happiness. We don't have to think about waves or big things or overwhelming things. How about just seeing if we can take in and enjoy little ripples of happiness that you don't have to worry about that will be taken away or that will be erased by situations out of your control?" So it was interesting because he's had a lot of struggle with feeling happy and feeling entitled to happiness even before he lost his brother. But certainly the loss of his twin brother is definitely exacerbated the sense that he can't be happy, he's not allowed to be happy, he's never been happy, and he never will be happy, which is such a dark way of having to wake up every day, which he tells me is how he wakes up. So I'm sharing this because in therapy, when you have these sort of moments when a patient is finally allowing him or herself to feel a glimmer of hope, it's important and vital not to make a big deal out of it, but to point it out that if we had some more glimmers of hope over time, that we might help our patients feel less dark and less depressed and less disappointed. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week.